Someone you love is going to die. And when that happens, you are going to do something strange. You will gather people together, stand over a body, and perform a series of rituals that from the outside would look deeply odd. You might sing, you might dress the body in clean clothes, you might lower it into the ground and place flowers on top, and then you will go home and eat food with strangers. Your parents did this. Their parents did this. And here is the part no one ever tells you. So did people who lived 100,000 years ago. The real answer to why you grieve the way you do is far stranger than you think. You assume death rituals came from religion, or culture, or civilization. You assume someone at some point in history invented the idea of a funeral, and it spread from there. But that is not what happened. The evidence buried in ancient caves and dig sites tells a completely different story. It tells the story of something that was already inside you long before language existed, long before gods had names, long before anyone had a word for death at all. 430,000 years ago, a human ancestor called Homo heidelbergensis carried their dead into a narrow cave shaft in northern Spain. Researchers called it the Cima de los Huesos, the pit of bones. Paleoanthropologist Juan Luis Arzuaga and his team excavated the remains of at least 28 individuals at the bottom. No signs of cannibalism, no food processing, no practical reason to drag bodies deep into an inaccessible underground shaft. The only conclusion researchers could draw was that these ancient humans were making a deliberate choice about what to do with their dead, something that looked faintly like a ritual. You share a common ancestor with them, and you still feel that same pull. The idea of simply leaving someone you love lying in a field like a fallen tree produces a visceral discomfort in almost every human being alive today. Researchers argue this is not accidental. It is a feature. Psychologist Thomas Suddendorf at the University of Queensland has argued that the human capacity to understand death and respond to it with ritual is one of the things that fundamentally separates human cognition from every other species. You do not just experience death, you think about what it means, and then you act on that meaning. Think about what death does to a social group. You live in a band of 20 or 30 people. Everyone has a role, and then someone disappears permanently. The mental model your brain built of that person, the one that predicts how they will behave, what they will say, when they will return, that model does not simply switch off. Psychologist George Bonanno at Columbia University found that the brain treats the loss of a close person as a threat, not just sadness, a genuine threat. Your nervous system keeps scanning. It keeps expecting them to return. Ritual interrupts that loop. It gives the brain a task. It marks the line between before and after. Grief researchers call this meaning making, and your ancestors were doing it long before that word existed. About 100,000 years ago, at a site called Skull Cave in what is now Israel, early modern humans buried their dead with objects. One man was found with the lower jaw of a boar placed deliberately in his hands. A child buried at a nearby site had antler horns beside them. These are among the earliest grave goods ever discovered, and what they tell you should stop you cold. 100,000 years ago, someone looked at a person they loved who had just died and thought about what that person might need. They placed an object in the hands of someone who could no longer feel it. You still do this. when you lay a photograph in a casket, when you tuck a keepsake beside someone before burial, when you bring flowers to a grave, you are making the exact same gesture. Not the same culture, the same impulse, separated by 100,000 years. Here is the part that modern life gets wrong. For most of human history, death happened at home, in front of everyone. The body was present. The grief was communal. The rituals were performed by people who knew the dead. Today, bodies are removed quickly. Grief is treated like a problem to be solved efficiently. And when that happens, when the rituals are cut short or skipped entirely, something always feels incomplete. That feeling is not weakness. It is your ancient neurology telling you this moment requires more, that this loss deserves to be marked. Tonight, if you think about someone you have lost and feel the urge to say their name out loud, to light a candle, to tell someone else a story about them, do not ignore it. That urge is not sentiment. It is hundreds of thousands of years of human wiring reminding you of something your ancestors already knew. Someone you love is going to die, and something deep inside you already knows exactly what to do. It always has.